This is KGW News at noon.
The power is back on for hundreds of people in Independence, Oregon today after a deadly plane crash over the weekend. The plane collided with power lines Saturday evening and sparked a small brush fire. Good afternoon, I'm Christine Pitawanich. The crash killed all 3 people on board, including the pilot. Sydney Dorner brings us the latest on the investigation.
The explosion, the pops, the flash, and then ran out. I ran across the street. There were cars kind of running, so we stopped them all and ran across.
Elena Peterson says she and another man jumped through bushes and found the small plane on fire.
And I think I arrived like 3 minutes after the plane crashed.
She says she grew up in the tight-knit town where incidents like this are rare.
Our fire department isn't even set up to respond to a plane crash right now. It's kind of crazy.
Sunday, Independence police identified the 3 men on board who died. 35-year-old Mohammed Hussein Musawi, who was the pilot from Independence. The 2 passengers were Mohammed Bashir Safdari, also from Independence, and Ali John Ferdowsi from Salem. The Independence Police Department and Federal Aviation Administration are still looking into exactly what caused the crash. We're told the plane was trying to land at Independence State Airport and had originally taken off from McMinnville Airport. Police noted the foggy conditions in the area at the time. Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
To Hillsborough now, where police shot and killed a man they say took a woman hostage. Today, the 2 officers who fired their guns are on leave. It happened at a home near Northeast Miriam Way and Wheelock Place around 10 o'clock yesterday morning. Officers say a man who claimed to be armed was inside a woman's home and took her hostage. That woman had a restraining order against him. We're still working to get more information. At this point, we don't know exactly what happened leading up to the officers opening fire, but we'll bring you the updates when we get them. And the family of a man who died while Milwaukee police transported him to a mental health facility is grieving and asking questions about what happened that night. Ashley Grams shares their story.
On December 12th, 26-year-old Jean-Michael Descamps died while Milwaukee police officers were bringing him to a mental health facility.
I miss him so much. I haven't seen him in so long because of the drugs.
The loss of Descamps painful for his sister Gabby Kabatic.
I have so many pictures I could show you. Just like him making funny faces all the time because that's how he was.
Police say Descamps was discharged from the emergency room at Providence Hospital, but he didn't want to leave. That's when Milwaukee police showed up.
And he had warrants out for his arrest. But they determined that it wasn't in his best interest to take him to jail. And they felt that he was a danger to himself and maybe to other people.
That's why officers decided to drive Descamps to Unity Center for Behavioral Health. When they got there, they found Descamps unresponsive. Portland police are leading the investigation and say his death was likely due to a drug overdose and contributing natural causes.
It was my worst fear that this would actually happen someday.
Kabatic and her father say Descamps lived on the streets in Portland and struggled for years with addiction.
He was a really good kid, and I think he just ran into the wrong crowd and wrong friends and just went down the wrong path.
While the family understands Descamps was using drugs, they still have questions about the circumstances surrounding his death.
How he's overdosing in the back seat and no one does anything. They realize he's unresponsive when they get to the facility. That doesn't make any sense to me.
As family and friends reflect on the short life of Jean-Michael Descamps, they're reminded of one thing.
Just because they're drug addicts doesn't mean that they're not human.
That was Ashley Grams reporting. The 2 Milwaukee police officers who were transporting Descamps are on administrative leave, which is standard practice in a situation like this. Portland police officers are still investigating and waiting for a toxicology report. The remains of a Lakewood, Washington woman have been found in Las Vegas. 23-year-old Morena Rogers went missing during a trip to Vegas earlier this month. Police say she was supposed to meet up with her friend and her friend's boyfriend, both of whom have since been arrested on kidnapping charges. One of the people arrested was 27-year-old Chance Comanche, a former player in the NBA's G League. He was released from the Sacramento Kings affiliate the same day as his arrest. Some parents in the Tiger-Tualatin School District want to get rid of the superintendent, and they're sharing a petition to do it. They say violence and disruptive behavior have increased under her watch. KGW has covered a few of the incidents that parents have mentioned. They include threats of violence against schools and fights that have gone viral online. The petition has hundreds of parent signatures, with some students and parents saying they've had enough.
I watch students cuss out teachers when they don't want to follow the rules or they are having a bad day.
It's just gone beyond really controlled, and we are ready to take our kids out of school.
A district spokesperson says they are aware of the petition but are unsure who created it or who have signed it. They say a new policy to address school violence was adopted just last week. Community feedback was taken into account when writing that new policy. And keeping with school schedules, winter break is underway for thousands of kids across the area. Salem-Keizer, Vancouver, Battleground, Hillsborough, Gresham-Barlow. Those are just a handful of the bigger districts that are off for the next couple of weeks. But that is not the case for Portland Public Schools. The district is using what was supposed to be break time this week to make up days lost during last month's teacher strike. The district also sent out a note to families this weekend that said staffing may be looking a bit different at some schools this week, with more substitute teachers or bus drivers. Lower attendance numbers could also lead to combining some classes. Portland Public Schools is already on the record saying it would excuse absences for kids who miss school this week. Okay, so speaking of winter break, Rod, kind of weird that we're not technically in the winter season just yet.
I know the winter solstice is this coming Thursday evening. I've always thought that, you know, it's just before Christmas it becomes winter, and yet I feel like we've been in winter since at least December 1st. How do you feel? Here's a look at what's going on. There's a low spinning off the coast of California, and this is pushing cloudiness and some light rain shower activity northward across Oregon and Washington. But so far, most areas have either seen just a trace or, in fact, not even a single raindrop. Now, we have had several periods of light rain pass along the coast and moving up the coast range, but haven't seen anything in downtown Portland. There's just been a little more than a sprinkle or two so far in Salem. Here's Chinook Winds Casino Resort Cam in Lincoln City. Overcast and reporting some light rain in the last 30 minutes, 49 degrees. Here's the sun. You can tell that the high cloud deck is kind of thin. This is up in the Cascades at the Mount Hood Oregon Resort in Welch's. Doesn't look like they've picked up anything. And here's downtown. Whenever you can see the top of Mount Hood, that tells you the cloud deck is so high that you're either going to be completely dry or at most you would get a sprinkle, and that's where we are right now. 48 is the temperature. We could squeeze out to about 50 degrees. There is a push of increasing rain, but not coming until overnight tonight. And we'll talk about that and have your 7-day forecast coming up.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Coming up, a small step forward for LGBTQ rights. The Catholic Church is now blessing same-sex couples, but the church still has a lot of limitations. We'll explain coming up. Plus, do you remember last year's holiday travel chaos? Details ahead on a huge settlement involving Southwest Airlines and the way customers were treated.